People still coming in. Okay, so Oomph provides built-in options to create your animations without having to resort to external animation. What we're going to look at in the webinar is, for a lot of you, some of this will be pretty basic, but then we'll get onto the more advanced stuff like custom animations and some stuff I've been doing now with hotspot animations. So I'm going to start off now by sharing my screen. Okay, so now once again, if you want to view this in full screen, just move your mouse cursor over it and you should be able to go to a full screen version. A couple of things we'll be using today in the webinar are Oomph Box, which is a great little tool for testing internally. And you can see here that I've got iOS Simulator, iPad version 5.1, and Oomph Box running here. So as we go through, don't forget you can ask questions from Lisa, and she'll try and if she can answer them during the webinar, we'll do it. If not, at the end, we'll do a question and answer. So creating page animations must be one of the easiest things to do inside Oomph. To animate a layer, basically you simply export it to a PDF. So I've got some examples here, and we'll be posting these examples later, so you can download and try them yourself. But if I just open InDesign here, so these are the basic animations that come with Oomph, that are built into Oomph. When I say built in, what it means is that you don't have to edit anything, you don't have to write any code for it. You can simply use any of these, and we've got fade in, fade out, move in from top, move in from bottom, move in from left, move in from right, scale up, scale down. I think there is also a stretch one that I've left out. There's one more in there. So obviously your fade in fades in from completely transparent, fade out goes out to completely transparent, move in from top, slides in from the top, move in from bottom, slides in from the bottom of the screen. So if we have a look at what that looks like inside a folder here, if you can see this, page animations. What I've done in here, I've exported each of those elements as pages. So what I've done is I've come into InDesign, and in my layers here, I've basically turned off everything, and we're going to start with fade in. So I've got fade in turned on. I simply come into here, File, Adobe PDF presets, and I've defined my Oomph iPad preset here. I'd simply select that, come to the folder where I want to place this. In this case, it's page animations. And then I'm simply going to call it P1-2 fade in. That's all I have to do, and it'll fade in. And then the same with fade out, move in from top, move in from bottom, etc. We simply name them and put them into the layer. Now, one little tip, if you're doing these animations, is make sure that you have a base page. So here, I always start off by closing everything off and exporting, if I'm on a plain white background. The reason for that is that the natural color of the Oomph interface is not quite completely white. And if you don't create a background page, then what will happen is you'll see the animation sliding across the screen. Now, is everybody keeping up with this? Are we lagging a bit, or is everybody happy? All good, all working great. Good, thanks. Okay, so let's have a look and see what animating all of these objects does. So I'm just going to hide that. And I'm just going to, in my iOS simulator, is drag across, and depending upon the lag we're getting, we can see the animations. Okay, so Lisa's on Wi-Fi, so she's running slow, so we'll go with her so I know you all see it. So there's our basic set of animations. I'll do that once more. We'll just slide off. And we'll come back on again. So the first one we've got is the fade out with the fade in, moving from top, moving from bottom, moving from left, moving from right, scale up, scale down. So pretty straightforward stuff. That's it. So these are basically built-in layers. It's important to remember that if you have unanimated layers, they're drawn as usual, and the animated layers are then played in sequence. So this means that you can have animated layers appear under elements while animating onto the screen. So the other thing to remember too is when we're doing these animations, they are sequential, one follows the other. But as we move forward, I'll show you some tricks we can do in terms of changing that animation speed. So let's look at a situation now where we've taken another file here and we've created a little hole in the middle of it. It's got a little shadow and it's got an element over the top. If I save that out into this folder now, the second folder, and this one's called Page Animation Overlays. So it's exactly the same as the other, except I've got now a layer on top, which is called P1-10. So if I slide across to the side now what we'll see is that top layer takes precedence and all the others layers move in between. However, if I was to change one of these and make this a higher one, so for instance, scale up, if I was to make that 11, drag the animation onto the screen there. Well, a bit hard anyway with the scale up. You don't see. I should have done that with moving from left. So let's change it. Move from left to 12. And we'll just drag that on again. And hopefully this will prove me right. So the move in it should appear over the top of the other elements. In a second. And here we go. And you see the move in from left came over the top of the fixed element, which didn't have an animation on. So if you want to create sort of layered effects where elements appear behind others, just make those as a non-animated layer, and they'll always render first, and then the other animations will come in underneath it. Okay, so that's all our basic animations. But remember that we can combine animations with other functions such as slideshows to create additional effects. What I want to do now is show you an example of using animation in a slideshow to create captions. In the example I'm going to show you, let me just open up InDesign here. Okay, this is actually the file. I don't know if any of you have seen the video, animated captions that I've done. That's on YouTube. If not, check it out. It tells you how to do this step by step. So what I've got here is I've got obviously back on this first page here, I've got a placeholder, which is just I unlock this. And I look at my hyperlinks, which is just an ISP1, in-page slideshow 1. And then I've got 3 slides down here. And if I open them up, you'll see that there's the background element, there's a couple of other elements. We've got some text, and we've got a transparent background. So what I do is I export each of these into the IPS1 folder. So if we come in here and have a look at slideshow captions, you see that we've got S1-1, S1-2, fade in and move in from bottom, S1-3, fade in.pdf. Now, if I open that into Acrobat, we can see that it's made up of the 3 slides. So that's our base layer. So you remember that when you're doing in-page slideshows, you can put individual elements, you can put a single PDF combined, full of a number of pages. But the cool thing is that if I make a second layer, and if I look at this one, if I open this into Acrobat, You'll notice in this one, it's just the transparent layer on the bottom for the same 3 pages. And then for the S1-3, if I open that, it's a bit hard to see, but down the bottom you can see these are the 3 separate captions for each slide. So when we come to the point of playing it, as each slide plays, each animation will play on its respective slide as we go through it. And you can see that if I open this up in here. And I'll just scale this up a little bit so you can see it. So as I move from one slide to the other, we get the fade in and move in from bottom comes in, and then the text fades in. Once again, fade in from bottom, text comes in, fade in from bottom, text comes in. So don't think of animations as just being on the page. You can combine them with slideshows and then put that slideshow. You can even, in fact, animate that whole slideshow as well using by just animating the hotspot. And we'll look at that in a second. So let's scale this down a little bit again. Okay, so that's putting them with other functions in there. Now the other thing you can do, you can also, thanks Philip. So the other thing you can do is you can also combine page animations. So, and they can be combined using a couple of keywords, the and keyword and the then keyword. So for example, if you wanted a layer to fade in and move from the left, you could use the following, fade in and move in from left. So that's what we're going to do down here. We're going to have a look at this. Okay, so if we come to the next one here. So notice in that one, if I come back again, and if we look at the page animation, the combined animations, I've got scale up and move in from bottom, okay? So we've got a move in from top for the first one and a scale up and move in from bottom down there. So down, scales up into place. So remember that you can combine two by simply putting an and. If you wanted it to scale up, then fade out, then you would replace the and with a then. Now, it's not critical to make sure that all your case matches, but talking to Tom, head of development, the other day, he said, I would prefer it if you made all your text match, whatever it is. So if you put and in, do it in uppercase. If you put then, do it in uppercase, just to keep the developers happy. Okay, so that's combining your animations. So at the moment, everything we've looked at are animations which are encapsulated within the player itself. And this is one of the really, to me, one of the really cool things about Oomph is that, you know, we're not having to go out to an external animation platform like Tumult Hype or Edge. We're not dependent upon like running HTML overlays to create these animations. And the simplicity of creating them by just simply putting a name in is just fantastic because the viewer itself creates the animation because it knows what's going on. But, you know, as those of you who've been working on Oomph longer than I have know, once you've created your first half dozen page animations, you'll be at the point of saying, I want to slow this animation down, I want to scale and fade this object to a specific point on my page. Okay, so to do that, we've got to get our hands dirty with custom animation. So what is custom animation? Well, the standard animations such as fade, scale, and move actually run little files called anim files that are built into the Oomph app. The cool thing is it's possible for us to edit these files to create our own custom animations to slow down the animation, speed it up, or delay it. In a second, I'm going to show you an anim file, but don't worry, it's really simple to play around with. Okay, if we want to use an anim file though, what we need to do is we need to set up a section folder to use custom animations. I'm just going to come to the desktop here and just make a new folder, and I'm just going to call it custom. So inside that, and what I tend to do when I'm doing testing, and I do a lot of playing and testing, I tend to make what I call a cover page, as well as the page that I'm going to test. Only because sometimes you want to restart the animation, and having to use the reload is a bit of a pain. So I just got a quick cover page, and I'm just going to take my P1 page from here, which is the cover, and just drag it into here. So I've got a cover page, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come back into InDesign, into here, and I'm just going to export one of these layers that we can use. So first of all, remember I'm going to put my base layer in. So I export into here, into test. I'm going to do a P1-1, which is just a plain white. And this will be range 1. And we'll do a move in from left. So file, export that, and that will be P1-2. Okay, and we're going to call that one move in from left. So I save that, and that'll be 1 again. We'll export that. Okay, so now I've got my little little folder here. I'll just put it in there. Just get rid of InDesign anyway. Okay, so let's just test this. So I'm just going to drag it onto Oomph Simulator. Okay, there's my cover page. I slide in. So there's my action. Now, at the moment, we're using the built-in animation move in from left. That's part of the Oomph app. So what I want to do now is I want to start customizing that. I want to change the speed, you know, and stuff like that. So the first thing I need to do in here is I need to create a new folder called Animations. And I drop that into here. Now, if you go to the wiki, there's a page on the wiki where you can download a set of animations that come with Oomph. And I've got them here, and you can see they're fade in and move in from bottom, fade out, frame transition, move in from bottom, scale down, stretch, etc. So these are ones that you can download, and these are the basic, some of the sort of basic ones that are built into Oomph. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify the move in from left. So I simply take the move in from left, and I'm just going to hold that option and copy it into my animations folder. And we'll open that up, and there it is. You can see it's .anim, a little anim file. And I'm going to right-click and open it with text edit. Okay, now I'm just going to scale it up so you can see it. Yes, I'm going to unlock that. Okay, now don't get scared by this. It's not as bad as it looks. Okay, so we're just going to do something really simple here. So at the moment, the duration of the move-in is 1 second. We want to slow this down, and we want to make it 5 seconds. So we simply say duration 5. Okay, we save that. I'm just going to hide that for a sec. I'm going to drag this back on top of here, and what we should see now is our animation slowed way down. So there's, and it's as easy as that to create your own custom animation. And once again, too, if you build these and you want to keep a little library of these things, so we know that that was a move in from left for 5 seconds, we can always come into here and we can create a custom name for this. So I could call this move in from left -5 for 5 seconds. So I know that if I want to reuse that, I can drag it out. The only thing I need to make sure of is that on my PDF page, I have exactly the same naming structure. Okay, so now we've got a move in from 5. I'll drag that into there again. And unless I, maybe you can use spaces. Dash, that's interesting. Let me just try that. Oh yeah, because, yeah. Of course you can't use a dash because it sees a dash as this. Okay, so that was my first subtle area of the day. Never use spaces or horizontal bars in your animation names because it thinks it's something else. Okay, so there's our first custom animation, and it's pretty simple, easy as pie. So let's look at some of the other settings we can use in it. And I'm just going to come up here for a second, and we'll open that file back up again. Okay, so inside this file, it's quite simple. Okay, what we're going to look at a few things. So first of all, we've got the duration. So here I'm saying the duration is 5 seconds. We could do 5.5, we could do 1, we could do 0, or just run straight away. The second one is the delay. So the delay is, remember we're firing these animations off sequentially, so how long between the first one to the second one? So in this case we could delay it for 1 second or 2 seconds or whatever. Options. Now options are sort of interesting because we can put quite a few things in here. We can put ease in, ease out, ease in and out, linear, repeat, and auto reverse. So if I wanted to do an ease in, so ease in, it will come in and slow down and then center in there. So we'll make that 0, and then we'll put that to 4 seconds. We'll just save that file, and I'll load that again into Oomph. So you may not notice the subtlety of it on the screen here, but it's doing the ease in. Okay, linear would just go straight, and then we could do one where we do repeat. So let's say we wanted it to happen a couple of times, so we could do repeat,